outside, a police officer comes to me and says, you have to run. We have more information of bombs, so you have to run.
And Kevin McPadden, former Air Force medic. How come he
heard explosions, like boom, and it's like a distinct sound. It's not like when the compression, like boom, 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 like floors that were dropping and collapsing. This was boom, and like you felt a rumble in the ground, like almost like you wanted to grab onto something. That, to me, I knew that was an explosion. There was no doubt in my mind.
And there's more than that. We're just going to go through the highlights. Is there chemical evidence of thermite cutter charges? Of course, we'd expect to find such chemical evidence. Thermite may or may not be used. We'll take a look later and see if, in fact, there is any chemical evidence. But relative to these other 8 points, it's all direct evidence of explosives. Again, fire can't create any one of these. Let's take a look and see why. Here's a fire on the World Trade Center 5. It's completely engulfed, this building, versus the 8 to 10 small scattered fires that you saw in Building 7. If any building was going to collapse due to fire, it would be this one. Did it? No. Steel frame, mid-rise, high-rise buildings don't fall, don't collapse due to fire. Never have. How about this 44-story building fully engulfed in China in February of '09? I'm sure that building would have collapsed. Let's see. Nope, that one didn't collapse either. We have 3 on 9/11 for the first time that have collapsed due to these fairly small fires and a lot of smoke on the south side. Completely destroyed. Let's take a look and see what the FEMA report concludes. Small debris field, the facade was pulled downward, suggesting internal failure and implosion. Fascinating. Does that sound anything like a controlled implosion? They say, though, the specifics of the fires in World Trade Center 7 and how they caused the building to collapse remain unknown at this time. What? You spent $600,000? You don't know. The best hypothesis, fire plus random damage, and then complete collapse, has only a low probability of occurrence. Your best hypothesis has only a low probability of occurrence. What do you do when your hypothesis is not corroborated by the evidence? You go back and you find one that is. They did not do that. They say further research, investigation, and analysis are needed to resolve this issue. Unfortunately, though, for those hoping to resolve the issue, all the steel had been carted away, save about 2 pieces from World Trade Center 7. And we'll take a look at one of those in a moment. To China for recycling. Fascinating. Prompting Bill Manning, editor of Fire Engineering magazine, to exclaim, the destruction and removal of evidence must stop immediately. Do we have any experts that agree this is a controlled demolition? Well, here's one, the top one in Europe, as a matter of fact, Danny Jawenko, 27 years in the business. What does he say? It starts from below. They've simply blown away the columns. It's a controlled demolition. A team of experts did this. It's professional work, without a doubt. Wow. How about a structural engineer? Kamal Obeid. A localized failure in a steel frame building like World Trade Center 7 cannot cause a catastrophic collapse like a house of cards without a simultaneous and patterned loss of several of its columns at key locations within the building. What does that sound like? Controlled implosion. Do we have any foreknowledge of this building's collapse? In the 2-hour version, you'll see all kinds of examples. Let's focus on these mysterious construction workers and this police officer caught us.
Keep your eye on that building, it'll be coming down. All right, guys?
We are looking back. There's a building about to blow up. Flame, debris coming down.
The building is about to blow up, flame and debris coming down. How do they know? What's going on here? And Kevin McPadden, before he was talking about those explosions, what did he experience? He was pulled back to the yellow tape where they were taking people away from Building 7 because they were saying it's going to come down and has some structural problems due to the impact of the debris from the North Tower. That was the official story. Here's what he hears on the radio held by the Red Cross worker.
At the last few seconds, he took his hand off, and you heard 3, 2, 1.
Do fires bring buildings down to countdowns? Fascinating. What about the BBC? They announced the collapse of this building 20 minutes before it happened. They apologized for this grievous error, citing the confusing events of the day. CNN did better, though. They announced it at 11:07. Listen to Alan Dodds-Frank.
In New York, Alan Dodds-Frank joins us on the phone in Lower Manhattan. Alan?
Alan, just 2 or 3 minutes ago, there was yet another collapse or explosion. I'm now out of sight. A Good Samaritan has taken me in on Duane Street.
Dud. And therefore, that's why you have all the people running around not knowing whether to put the fire out, being told not to put the fires out, and so forth, with all of this foreknowledge. Well, maybe we've shown proof of controlled demolition. Let me ask you if that's true for you relative to Building 7. First, though, how many people believe the official story that this building came down by fire? Be honest. Be honest. Fire, fire, fire. Anybody unsure still? No? Nobody unsure? And controlled demolition? Okay, so you guys know you have a problem. We all have a problem here. If this building was brought down by explosive controlled demolition, and they lied about that, then that casts a shadow across really all of the events of 9/11, certainly the Twin Towers. So many of us now in the 9/11 Truth Movement are calling for a real investigation that includes the use of explosives in Building 7. And we believe that Building 7 is the smoking gun. It is the key to justice for the lives lost in the other Twin Towers. So we have a third beam now on all of our literature. And I'll give you a suggestion. Look into the New York sky on the evening of the 10th. I'm not going to say any more about that. And if you are with us and you want to know more about how the Twin Towers, well, what we're doing with AE 9/11 Truth, I encourage you to sign up for our free monthly email newsletter. If you're already a petition signer, you're getting the email newsletter anyway. But if you're not, sign up. It's free. And we send out a newsletter each month, let you know where we're going to be, what we're doing, where the other speakers are going to be. Now, the Twin Towers are a whole different set of circumstances here. We're going to take a look. As clear as the evidence was for most of you, all of you, today, relative to Building 7, it will become actually more clear with the Twin Towers. When you just start to take a look, an isolated look at this evidence. So the structure of this building was quite unique. They grouped the core columns, made them stronger. 47 immense core columns, solid steel at the bottom, 52 inches by 22 inches on the sides. And then that allowed open office planning on the side, which you see here inside. And it's surrounded by an exoskeleton of very, very dense Verandil truss, is what it turns out to be, with perpendicular and horizontal welded and bolted elements. It's mostly steel. Very few windows, which is one of the reasons it failed miserably to attract tenants. But it is extremely strong. If you lay this on its side, it's a bridge. It would stand up, basically, supporting its own weight and more. So any 1800-degree fire, which is what NIST claims, with no evidence for that, but had it. Sander, can you put a book underneath my projector?
Yes, sir.
In fact, that would be helpful. Any 1800 degree fire would be conducted away from the source of heat. Now that's the real reason that you don't have skyscrapers coming down due to fires. In addition to the fire